What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cross-Platform Podcast. I am that one Heath. With me, as always, Gordy Mills.
Hey.
Mike on Skype.
Hey, how's it going?
And first, we all want to apologize for the audio quality of the last episode.
No, I want to apologize. That was my fuck up through and through.
I didn't want to throw you under the bus, but yeah, so we apologize for that, and hopefully that won't happen again. But, you know, every podcast that gets a lost episode or something fucks up with the audio. But, you know, in true fashion, of course, it was episode 13.
We salvaged it. We were able to make something happen.
Hope the one of you out there that listened to it wasn't too completely upset about it. And like I said, the first time we fuck something up, and as soon as somebody complains, I will personally apologize to you.
Send a handwritten letter.
I will
in
send
black
you,
ink,
yes,
or blue ink.
a handwritten letter. But yeah, so first thing I want to talk about or ask you guys about is what have your lives been like the last couple weeks without a Walking Dead in it?
Pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah. You don't feel just a little bit empty inside?
Nah.
No. Too much going on?
Yeah.
So what have you been up to this week?
Well, it's been 2 weeks.
That's right, 2 weeks.
Since we recorded, and I've been building a lot of stuff. The weather's getting nicer, my grass is getting longer. I've been spending a lot more time outside in the yard, kind of de-winterizing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Made a lot of progress on your desk. You were there for that.
I was.
Got my lathe up and running. You were there for that.
Glorious.
And, I've always been saying the very first thing I wanted to make on it was a Lucille. So when we got that piece up there, I'm like, I think I can make a bat out of this. And so I just kind of started making a baseball bat. It's a small miniature baseball bat. It looks more like a semi-truck tire thumper, but it
right.
works.
And I put pictures up on the Facebook page, so you probably have seen that already. But yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was.
And we've already gotten requests to make more.
Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Anything else?
I'll take one.
Yeah, Mike.
Let's see what else. Haven't done a whole lot of video game stuff.
Yeah. I haven't really played that much either.
No.
And to be honest with you, I don't know what the hell I've been doing with my time.
I mean, we're starting to catch up on shows.
Yeah, I've been doing that too.
We started watching 13 Reasons.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a little bit.
Is there another one? I feel like there's another one we were watching.
What about you, Mike? Anything exciting?
Are you talking about the wonderful Black Mirror?
Yeah,
No.
we did watch our Black Mirror.
I mean, I
We'll
saw
get
that
to
one
that.
a while ago. There's
I
another
rewatched
one.
it. I did watch it.
Oh
a while
yeah,
ago.
Z. My wife and I were watching Z, which is about Zelda Fitzgerald, F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife. He's
Mhm.
the writer of This Side of Paradise and The Great Gatsby.
Mhm.
And I guess a lot of his stories came from her journal. But at the time, female authors weren't taken seriously. And so her stories got a lot more traction and publicity when they were written by him instead of by her.
Right.
And this is kind of the whole story of their kind of getting to know each other and starting their life together type of thing. There's only been one season so far. It's on Amazon Prime, but it's pretty good.
So, yeah, yesterday I actually went out to Indiana ComicCon, which is awesome. I'd never been before. It was a lot of fun. It's a 3-day, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If I do it again, definitely gonna have to go for more than just a day. There was a lot of people, a lot of stuff to do.
Where was it? I mean, obviously Indiana, but
the convention center in Indianapolis, right
Okay.
downtown. I was there by myself because I don't have nearly enough nerdy friends in my life, and nobody was available or wanted to go. And of course, a friend who will remain nameless, who I asked to go multiple times throughout the last month. As soon as I came back from said event and he saw all the pictures, he's like, "Oh, you should have told me." You know, he thought it was like one of the Wizard World
right.
ones. I was like, "Oh, you should have told me it wasn't a Wizard World thing." And I was like, "What difference does that make?" But
Yeah.
and he complains about whenever I go and do something cool and he says no, and every time I come back from them, aka a la Rock on the Range or another Comic-Con event or this thing, he always complains and blames me for him not going,
Right.
which I think is hilarious. So yeah, I did that. A couple of things. I met Jessica Negri, who, if you're not familiar with Jessica Negri, what the fuck is wrong with you? She is a ridiculously good cosplayer. Her and her boyfriend Ryan, who he is equally as awesome. And they do a lot of Twitch gaming streams and stuff like that. And they have this huge Patreon and Twitch following. She is so nice and so fucking weird in the best way possible. She's absolutely beautiful. Ryan's not bad to look at either. He's got a pretty respectable beard, and his tattoo, he's got like a Pokemon like full sleeve tattoo on his arm,
Nice.
which is amazing. And it's really weird because I've followed them on Twitch for a long time now, and we've had interactions, but I've never met them in person.
Right.
And so I get there and we're like, hey, I'm this guy. And they go, oh, shit, and blah. And nobody else in the line knows what the fuck's going on. So it was really, really cool. And it was kind of bizarre, like fate timing thing. Jessica Negri kind of she kind of rose to the top of internet fandom. She made like a sexy Pikachu. It was just basically a halter top with eyes and a face and a skirt and a little tail. It was nothing crazy like the stuff she does now for San Diego Comic-Con 8 years ago or so. Cut to a young Heath in the hospital going through my cancer treatment. I was, obviously sitting there doing nothing, scrolling through photos from San Diego Comic-Con as I am wont to do. And I saw her, didn't really think anything of it. I was like, oh man, she's really cute, and kind of kept going. And I'm standing in line waiting to get her autograph and meet her, and I'm going through my Facebook page, and it pops up on my timeline
as like a memory.
Of it was me getting my last spinal tap. Like a picture of me bent over a table with a needle in my spine. And then I was like, and it was just weird happenstance. It was that day meeting her back when I first discovered her, and it was in 2009.
Yeah.
And it was just really weird. And I kind of brought it up to them, and they thought it was a really cool story. Cause they knew I was, I had gone through stuff, and it was just so bizarre and so strange. And they were super cool about it. And like, were throwing swag at me, and which is not like, I don't pull the cancer card out to get free stuff, but it was just a really cool kind of moment. And I met Jules, I don't know how to say pronounce her last name, but Kaylee from Firefly, or Fast Forward if you were that was on Disney,
Flash
right?
Forward.
Flash Forward. What did I say?
Fast forward.
Whatever. Flash Forward. Her and Ben Foster when they were kids. And what's his name? Cox. Daredevil. Guy who plays Daredevil on Daredevil. I was walking right next to him for about 3 seconds and says, hey, I like Daredevil. And he's like, cool, man. You've never seen Daredevil, have you?
I saw the Ben Affleck
you
one.
Son of a bitch. Mike, have you seen the Daredevil on Netflix?
Is he the really fast one?
What does that even mean?
That's Flash.
Holy fuck. Okay, I'm putting a call out right now. I'm looking for 2 new co-hosts for this show. This is getting ridiculous. We need another nerd on this show.
Mike, we'll just have to go do our own.
Holy shit, you guys go do your car and... Oh my god, I can't even. But yeah, that was
look,
me.
We each have our own dork flags, all right?
Guess.
They're not always the same.
Holy shit. So yeah, I drove up to Indiana yesterday morning and back last night, and that was a lot of fun. But again, I have to do it in a couple-day trip next time because I didn't get to shoot any footage because it was so crazy, which I'm super bummed about. But yeah, I mean,
that sounds like fun.
It was a lot of fun. So let's jump into a couple little news items. Not really anything crazy. We're not super into the news here, just kind of stuff that catches our eye.
Yeah.
Something I'm kind of really pissed off and bummed out about is the Nintendo Classic, the little Nintendo machine that had 30 like classic Nintendo games on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not making anymore after having a pretty shit supply of it over the holiday season,
Yeah.
which is something Nintendo always does.
They still do.
What do you mean they still do?
They still have a shit supply.
Oh,
of it.
that's
You
because
can't find them.
they never got any more.
Well, they're getting them. A friend of mine in California has some app that he uses that tells him when they're going to be at what stores, and so he goes and waits at these stores, and he's buying 2 or 3 a week.
Dude, I want that.
He gets like buys 2 or 3 a week. He mods them, and then he sells them on eBay for like $250 a pop.
I want that app, but and kind of a polite fuck you to that guy.
Do you want me to get you guys in touch?
I don't want to pay $200 for one.
I don't want to buy one because he'll tell you when to get them or where to get them.
Yeah, I want to know that.
But I don't want to buy one because I'm just going to make one.
They don't feel the same. Like the mod or whatever you were talking about, Juice Box or whatever the fuck it's called.
RetroPie,
whatever.
Yeah.
I was close. Samsonite. They don't feel the same.
I know there's a slight delay.
Yeah.
Because you're not going straight
and that's
on the chip. You're running
right.
through a computer.
And with those games, they need to be spot on.
I played one. I played a RetroPie not that long ago, and that was the most accurate that it's felt. Yep.
I don't know. I still have my classic Nintendo downstairs.
Yeah.
I don't think I have the coax cable for it, and I don't know if I have any of the controllers, which those aren't super hard to track down. But I don't know if it works because I mean, even back when Nintendo was the console, the only console at home, 50-50, it worked anyways, unless you blew in it or tongued it or whatever you did to get it to work.
And I'll see if he can share his information.
Sure.
Help hook us up. He was ranting bragging last week about how many people he hooked up with them because he just basically told them when to go and where to go, and
right.
Basically, you go to the store when they open on the day they receive the shipments, and you get them.
Yeah,
it's a crapshoot on
because I keep
which
seeing
stores get them what days.
Right, and all the other ones I see that are online are all going for 200. Not even modded; they're just going for $200.
The modding is why they're getting rid of it. Why they're stopping production of them. Because people are buying them and then they're putting all the ROMs on them.
No.
That may not be why.
No, that's not why. I can tell you why. I can tell you why they're doing it. It's because the Nintendo Switch just came out.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of selling 30 games for $60,
they want to make some money on their arcade.
They can sell each one of those games for $5 on the virtual arcade on the Switch. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with any of that. I guarantee you. I mean, I don't know that for sure. That's just my speculation. Because I'm pretty sure that's the reason why. So yeah, that sucks. A couple other little things. There was some controversy about an XMen artist, a Marvel artist for the XMen Gold #1, which I have right here. And he Marvel had to issue an apology because he put some unsanctioned hidden messages within the artwork. The way he kind of apologized or explained himself, he says it was all peace and love and whatnot. And I'm not going to speak a whole lot about this because I don't know the politics behind the references he embedded, but there was a panel of Kitty Pryde addressing a crowd and some signs on the buildings. In front of her, there was one that had a big 212, which is, I guess, in reference to a big protest they had in Indonesia, I believe. And then there was another panel where Cyclops was wearing a t-shirt and they were playing baseball at the mansion, and it said Q. It was basically a passage for the Quran. And again, I'm not going to interpret the Quran. It reads like a Bible verse, and which has many interpretations. But from what the reactions were for the people who were reporting on it, made it seem like it was.
The translation seemed very anti-Semitic.
And I wouldn't go so far as to say hateful, but not.
It didn't seem so much hateful as it seemed like a word of warning, but not the kind of word of warning that you want to see issued.
Right, and along with the panel where Kitty Pryde was addressing the crowd, there was a sign for a jewelry store in front of her, but the second half of
Lurie.
the
Lurie was
signage
blocked.
was blocked, so it said Jew right by her head, and Kitty Pryde is a Jewish character. Her character is Jewish in the X-Men universe.
Right.
So it was just it was all weird, and Marvel had to issue a statement. They apologized, he apologized, and he pretty much basically came out and legitimately quoted, his quote was like, "Yeah, okay, my career's over. I'm sorry. Peace and love. I'm out."
Right.
And Marvel, I don't know if I don't know if you can recall, or they recalled, or they told comic book stores that they could send them back and receive new issues with that art removed or changed. The digital issue of that comic, the art was changed. So I have a copy, and I don't plan on getting rid of it because I don't know, who with comic books, who knows? One day that could be worth something. I have no idea. And we had a few trailers come out this week that I was super pumped about. The Star Wars celebration is going on, or was going on this weekend. It's 3 days in Orlando, I believe.
I guess they had a really
whole bunch of stuff.
really touching tribute.
Yeah, the Carrie Fisher tribute was really really good. Did you get a chance to see it?
No, I didn't get the chance to watch it. I saw it on my feed, but I was at a place that I couldn't play it to watch to hear the sound and everything.
Yeah.
I also saw that her dog shit on the floor in the middle of the place.
What are you talking about?
Carrie Fisher's dog
When?
during the celebration.
Oh, I didn't hear
During
about
the
that.
Star Wars celebration, they had the dog there, and I guess the dog just pooped right in the middle of the floor.
A dog's old. Yeah, the tribute was really touching and funny because she was nuts.
Right.
She was so funny and so witty and so quick. So there was a lot of that in there. They had her daughter kind of come out and speak a little bit before the tribute went up, and there's a lot of really good panels, and they released a trailer for the new Battlefront 2 game, which looks amazing. And then, of course, they had the trailer for The Last Jedi, which, as far as trailers go, I wasn't super impressed with, but because it was Star Wars, I fucking loved it. It raises a lot of I know you guys aren't super into Star Wars, so I apologize if I'm kind of monopolizing this topic. But it raises a lot of questions, and I'm glad that the trailer didn't give a whole lot away. And this is a teaser.
Yeah.
We're going to get more trailers. But I thought the really interesting thing was, because I'm a big fucking nerd, if you line the teaser trailer for this movie and the teaser trailer for The Force Awakens up, a lot of the beats match.
Are the
in
cuts
opposite ways? Yeah, a lot of the cuts line up.
nice?
Sorry. And it's
that's
pretty
loud.
interesting. Yeah, sorry. I just hit my mic. I
We
don't know why I'm talking with my hands on a podcast, but so
we should make a video, make it a vidcast.
No, the internet's not ready for me. And okay, since you're laughing, Mike, I'm calling you out. Don't you ever mute your mic again when you laugh. I was so pissed off.
Yeah, I had to cut so much of that out.
Dude, I was broken in like
That's
That was
good.
the best
I
part.
need that validation. I need to hear your laughter. Last episode when I made the fear boner? Yeah, the fear boner comment. Mike literally, we lost him for about a minute and a half. And
I don't know why. I haven't laughed like that in years.
and he muted his mic. He muted his mic, and then when I went and listened to back to the podcast, I was like, "Oh, that son of a bitch! That son of a bitch!"
It was just the right mixture of sleepiness and a boner joke, and I was gone.
And then also we had the Thor Ragnarok trailer, which I just made you guys watch. I've never been too hype on the Thor movies. Have you seen either of the Thor movies?
Nope.
God damn it. Why are
But
we
I
doing
would
this
go
podcast?
watch that one based on that trailer.
Yeah, the Thor movies to me have been kind of out of the main Avenger group, have been kind of the weakest in my opinion. I liked the second one, Thor: The Dark World, more than the first one, but still didn't really blow my hair back. But this one with the whole what is it, the immigrant song and uh, the whole like kind of 80s metal aesthetic to like all the text and stuff like that. And Kate Blanchett looks fucking amazing as hella. I like that they're bringing
Wait, is
in.
that the girl with the black hair?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to figure out who that was. I'm like, that looks familiar, but I
Yeah.
just can't put my thumb on it.
Yeah, she looks awesome. The Jeff Goldblum is in it, and who doesn't love Jeff Goldblum?
Precisely.
And I like the fact that they're kind of merging Thor Ragnarok, the comic, event, and like World War Hulk, because that's where you kind of see the arena that he was in at the end of the trailer, and then Hulk come out in like
I love that.
armor.
He's like, yay!
He's like, yes!
I know him.
Yeah, so they kind of keep talking about this like it's the theme of the movie, or the like aesthetic of the movie is like a buddy comedy, like a 48 Hours type, it's supposed to be really funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, Chris Hemsworth has great comedic timing. He's funny and everything, comedic he's ever been in, like Saturday Night Live, he kills. Right. He was, whatever. And I hate to throw any praise to the new Ghostbusters movie, but he was pretty funny in the new Ghostbusters movie. But yeah, I'm super pumped for Thor Ragnarok, and I just want all of these to be done so we can get the Infinity War movie, because that's all I really want at this point. But yeah, and then I kind of talked about earlier the fact that we haven't had Walking Dead for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the first week I was like flipping through my DVR, and I really missed it. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I sat down to watch
I miss
TV.
having something to look forward to.
Yeah.
But I don't miss The Walking Dead itself.
No?
And I think I feel a sense of relief of like, well, I'm not going to be disappointed this week.
No, that sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, I do miss having something to look forward to week after week. And I read this week that we might have to wait longer.
Yeah.
To get the next Walking Dead. The Writers Guild of America, the WGA, is in talks with who would they be in talks with?
It's their renegotiation, right? Their contract negotiation.
Yeah. So the writers write movies and TV shows and everything else, and they get paid to do it. And the Writers Guild have a union, and then I guess it would be the
Screen Actors Guild.
It's not the actors; it's like the producers and the people that are in charge of the money that comes in from the movies. And the discussion now is how the writers will be getting paid for the work that they do. And previously, they were getting paid just a set amount for what they did, and it wasn't really dependent on how well the movies performed.
Or shows, yeah,
or shows, or any how well the production performed. And so what they were seeing is that since the last negotiation in 2007, the last strike, the movie industry has been just turning out record profits.
Right.
It's just growing. The money coming in is just increasing. And the writers are actually making less now than they were then. 21% less than they were then. And I see a problem with that.
Well, sure.
Like if I think about all the stuff that I watch that does well, the writing is a huge part of that.
Well, some would argue that the writing is kind of
the backbone.
Right. I mean, if you don't have the story, you don't have a show.
And so for them to not be seeing any kind of like direct percentage or proportionate percentage of that increase is wrong. Anyway, That's what they're saying. And
Right.
the talks went south pretty quick. I think they started in February. And so they've been preparing to strike. And I think they have to come up with an agreement by May 15th, I want to say.
Mm.
I'm not sure what the exact date is. If they don't, though, the writers go back on strike, which means any shows that were planning on being produced in late spring or early summer are going to end up getting pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably going to affect a lot of what we watch. Definitely Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
because they're probably not going to be ready for fall. If
Or you don't think they have all of that down already? The writing.
I hope so.
I would
But-
I would assume so, seeing as how they're shortened.
Well, a huge part of that process is having to make changes on the fly
True.
and having writers that can make good changes
Sure.
on the fly.
Right.
And if those writers aren't available, what are they going to do? It's either going to be a shit show next
Right.
season, or they're going to push it back.
Then, and you, when you told me about this, I had heard a little bit, and I didn't know it was progressed as far as it had. And you told me about it, and it was just a flippant comment. But you said, "Yeah, the Writers Guild's getting ready to go back on strike," and I said, "Again?"
Right.
And you were like, "That was 10 years ago, dude." And I was like, "Really? It doesn't seem like that long ago."
No.
To me.
So, interesting story about that. My wife is actually my second marriage.
Mm.
When the strike happened, I was on my honeymoon for my first marriage. Right after we got married, we went to Los Angeles, and the strike happened like while we were there, which worked out really well in our favor because all of the studios were offering their tours at employee rates
Oh, really?
because nothing was happening.
Mm.
Dude, they were like vacant.
That's crazy.
Hardly anyone was filming. The only shows I think that were filming that time was one called The Unit. They were filming their second season.
Mm. I remember that show.
They were filming one with Courtney Cox. It was an FX show. Dirt, maybe? Dirt or Dirty Money or something like
No
that.
idea.
Yeah, that was it. The rest of it, like, we got to go on these sets because nothing was happening there. Everything was just on hold.
The only thing I remember from the only thing I remember being upset that got really fucked up from the writer strike was Heroes. I freaking loved the show Heroes. And the writer strike happened, and I think like after the second season, and that's when that show just went to shit, in my opinion.
You know what really took off during the writer's strike too was reality TV.
Yeah.
And I don't think we can afford to have any more reality TV.
Well, and as a side to that, I don't think reality TV could survive that because it's so fucking scripted.
Well, right. I guess here's the other thing. Seeing how big YouTube has gotten, and everything on YouTube is self-produced.
Mm.
And if it's not entirely self-produced, there's small production teams.
Mm.
But with TV, where each episode costs $250,000 to make, and YouTube it costs like $50. This could be the final nail in the coffin for television if the writers have to go on strike.
I doubt that.
But it's also going to affect the new forms of media like Netflix and Amazon and
Yeah.
all of the other content that's delivered in ways that we actually watch.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Netflix, now did you say I finished it? You said you hadn't finished the 13
about
Reasons.
halfway through 13 Reasons.
So I forget when it came out, but I finished it this week. 13 Reasons Why, I believe it's called, right?
Yeah.
And Mike, you haven't watched it.
Nope.
No. Okay. So if you haven't watched it, light spoilers, I guess. Not really. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But basically, it's a show about a girl who.
I'll go deep into it. Not deep, but
Yeah. Well,
I'll
maybe
give you
we'll
a
break
pretty
it.
quick
Well, maybe
summary.
we'll break it up into other shows too. But basically, it's about a girl who commits suicide, who leaves these cassette tapes for her classmates, and basically the rule of it is each tape is for a
Each
person.
side.
Each side of the tape is
Yep.
for a different person, and I
it-
don't really know if they get really into it in the show, but it started with somebody,
It's-
and once they finish the tape, they pass it along to the next
right.
person.
The tape talks about, like, if you're mentioned in that tape, you had something to do with her
Right.
coming to the decision to end her life.
Right. And
It was basically, she didn't leave a suicide note or
This-
anything,
right.
for that matter. That was
this was kind of her Suicide Note.
Yeah.
At least I took it as. And we get, and the point of the story where we come in, it's already happened, and the tapes are with the last or the second to last person, the
Yeah.
second to last kid, to receive them, and kind of going through him listening to the tape, seeing back, when we're listening to the side of the tape, we're seeing what happened through her eyes, and then it kind of jumps back and forth. And
Right.
it's really beautiful, like he's experiencing it along with her.
Mhm.
But
Did you notice the lighting?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, when
That was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, they differentiate the tone of the light.
When it's past, it's all bright and it's very colorful and vibrant.
And it's the president's blue and kind of dark.
Right.
Yeah.
Dull, I think is probably.
And this show, I think it's really important. It's based on a book. First of all, it's based on a book that was really highly touted when it was released. To the point where I knew about the book. I hadn't gotten around to reading it. I actually just picked it up, and I plan on reading it here in the next couple weeks. I think it's a really important show for parents of students, of parents who have kids in high school, or kids are about to go in high school, or just kids in general. Because we really don't get. We've talked about this a little bit before. We didn't have all of this shit when we were in high school.
Not to this extent.
Social media and cell phones and camera phones.
That was it.
Yeah, so there's a lot more pressure and scrutiny and bullying available to people through social media.
Yeah.
That I don't think, if you're not sitting over the shoulder of your child, you would never know bullying would happen.
Yep.
Kids don't come home with black eye, or it's not like they come home with a black eye from the internet.
Right.
And it's all internalized. And this show, what would you say if you were to rate this show, like our PG-13, R whatever?
Probably. It might vary episode by episode, but I'd say probably PG-13 or R.
Because this show definitely doesn't hold any punches.
No.
And
I have heard that it's getting a little bit of backlash, though, for not quite being accurate as far as like the signs that suicidal people show. And it's saying that some of those patterns aren't accurate. So for a show that's trying to raise awareness about teen suicide, I think some of the, and I didn't look too deeply into that, but some of the backlash has been that it's not quite factual enough.
Well,
but there's not really symptoms.
Exactly.
Everybody has their own thing.
Right. Like I said, we're about halfway through it, and I think my biggest takeaway has been you don't know what other people are going through.
No.
Nobody knows. You don't know what someone's going through, and you don't know how something that you do might impact somebody
even the
else.
littlest thing.
The littlest thing that by itself could be nothing, but compounded with everything else that's been going on to them, that could be the thing that pushes you over the edge, or that just adds one more thing to the stack.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty intense show. If you're sensitive to subjects like suicide and sexual assault and stuff like that, it may not be for you. But I found it really powerful. And as somebody who dealt and deals with depression myself, I identified a lot with some of the stuff. Like in high school, I wasn't, I went through battled depression through high school, which I know a lot of kids do. And you have good days and bad days, and I think people have a sense of depression where you're either depressed and you're depressed all the time,
right,
or you're fine and normal. And it's not that way. It's very fluid, and it's something I think this show kind of shows is you can be depressed, but you can have a good day too. And it's not always easy to tell. And I think that's something the show kind of does pretty well, and you know, I really enjoyed it. As much as you can enjoy something like that, I think it was a really well put together show, and I really do recommend it for anybody to watch it, because it it was done really well, I thought, and I know you're getting through
Yeah.
it. And I'm trying to think. There was another show that I wanted to suggest to the two of you. Something that might watch. The second season is about ready to start. It's called Sense8.
Yeah, this one sounded interesting.
Mike, did
when
you
were
ever
telling me
see
earlier.
Sense8 or hear about Sense8?
Are you saying Sense 8 or Sensei?
Sense8. S-E-E. No, Sense and then the number 8. Okay.
I have not heard of it.
Okay. So basically, what it is there's people all around the world who share a consciousness. Like you have a guy from South Africa and a woman in China or Japan. And they feel what the other person is feeling. They kind of see what the other person is seeing. And if the guy here in South Africa gets into a fight with gang members, the woman who is proficient in martial arts can kind of take over and get him out of that scenario. And it's always pairs, so you're hooked up with another person, and there's a few couples of this going on, and they're all in different parts of the world, and this government agency is looking for them to kind of use their abilities. I think it's still kind of a mystery, but it's really, really, really good. It's it's set like in the present to maybe a little bit in the future. But it's definitely sci-fi, kind of in our wheelhouse. And it was a really good show. And there was a first season, and then there was a 2-hour like Christmas episode that I actually haven't watched yet. And then the second season's about ready to start here in a week or two. So I don't know. I've put it out there for you guys. It might be something else we could discuss. But it was really, really good. And these Netflix shows have been knocking it out of the park.
They really are.
I
Like
can't.
one after another. They are just cranking them out.
I'm really, really impressed. When I first heard that Netflix was going to do their own programming,
Yeah.
I was kind of skeptical. But man, they've got there seems to be something new every week.
Right.
I keep seeing like this OA one pop up. It looks interesting. It's kind of sci-fi, I believe.
I remember when Hulu tried to do their own programming, and it was bad.
Really?
Yeah.
I never subscribed to Hulu, so
we were paying for Hulu for a while. And yeah, you could watch other channels recorded stuff, or you could watch these Hulu originals, and they were just bad acting, bad writing, bad filming. It was just bad all around.
That
and
sucks.
so yeah, Netflix was like a breath of fresh air, followed by like a punch to the gut in the best way possible, just over and over and over, and it doesn't even let you catch your breath.
Well, I know. Amazon has been doing some really good stuff too.
Yeah.
I haven't watched anything on Amazon. I have an Amazon Prime account, but I've never watched any of the programming.
I've seen Grand Tour, which is really cool.
Right.
And I've seen Z, which was also really good.
Right. And is it Man in the High Castle? Is that on Amazon?
Maybe?
Like
Is that the
alternate history
Hitler
Nazi?
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then oh gosh. Was it Transamerica or I don't know. I can't remember what the show is. But anyways, Netflix, sticking back on the Netflix thing is kind of our main topic, is we're going to kind of go through and talk about the first 3 episodes, which is the first season of Black Mirror. And if you haven't seen Black Mirror, it was originally a BBC show, correct? But the third season, they switched over to Netflix.
Was Netflix exclusive, yeah.
Okay, so the first, and these are, like most BBC shows, they're not like 12, 13 episodes. Their first season's only 3 episodes.
Right.
And if you don't know what it is, it's kind of like, think of Twilight Zone.
Yes.
They're self-contained stories, have a beginning, middle, and end. They're not interconnected. That's, basically tells you, gives you a lesson or gives you shit to think about.
It seems like they all take place in the same universe,
Same universe, but in kind
maybe
of
the same time period.
kind of the some of them more futuristic than
it's
others.
definitely the same universe. You can catch
Oh yeah,
people singing the same songs
Yeah.
throughout different episodes
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
Some of them are a little more sci-fi than others. More sci-fi than horror, I would say.
Right.
But yeah, so we're just gonna jump right into the first episode, which is called National Anthem. How would you like to describe this episode?
Shocking.
I mean, I never heard of Black Mirror. I
Right.
didn't know anything about it. Didn't know it was one-off stories. Didn't know anything. I just kept hearing people talk about it.
If I had not heard what other people were saying about it and talking about how awesome it was, and then I saw that first episode, I don't think I would have watched anymore.
See, that was kind of me. All I knew is that it was all over my social media.
Yeah.
And so I checked it out. I know nothing about it. And I watched it and I was like, what the fuck is happening right,
Right.
now?
Right.
I mean, how do you synopsize the first episode? Spoilers warning, I guess, by the way. If you haven't watched them yet, watch them along with us. We're going to do the second season next week.
I mean, pig fucker is.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the only way I can describe that.
that's not very descriptive, but so basically in this episode, you have the Prime Minister
Mhm.
of, one would assume, London.
And the princess.
And a princess. Prime Minister wakes up to a phone call saying that something has happened and this princess has been kidnapped. And there is a video of her being held captive, reciting a script saying, you have to do these demands or else I will be killed by X o'clock today.
Right.
And the demands were to have the Prime Minister basically have sex with a pig on camera on live television.
Yeah.
And if he didn't do it, then the captor would kill the princess. And it's basically the episode of them running around trying to figure out where this person is, how to find the princess, trying to figure out a way for them to trick this guy into thinking that it was happening when it wasn't actually happening.
Right. Like using a green screen and a body double that was
a porn star sorry if you can hear the popo coming after us right now. There's a helicopter flying outside the window.
Is that Get a Bird?
I think so. Is it a ghetto bird or the hospital helicopter?
Yeah. So they trying to figure out how to make it look like him without actually being him, and they wised up to it. And how deep do we want to go into?
I don't know.
this?
It's just, I mean, while I was watching it, I was like thinking about, like, could this happen? If somebody I mean, what would you do in that scenario? It's just,
I don't know. I would hope that my
who thought
intelligence
this up
team is fast enough to catch them before you actually have to bring it live.
But basically, the conclusion of the episode is they can't find her. Then
they couldn't find her. Everybody was glued to the TV.
Yeah,
because it was like that train wreck. Nobody wants to see it, but you can't look away. And
right.
You want to watch just to
the
find
streets
out
were
if he's actually
empty.
gonna
No
go
one
through
was
it.
out. Like they kept doing these city shots. Nobody was out walking around.
Before he even starts, you see her walking through the city.
Right. They release.
They
she gets
her.
released, but nobody's outside because everyone's watching this thing
Right.
unfold on television.
Right.
And the guy goes ahead and does it.
And then the captor was dead.
He killed himself.
Right.
Right.
Before all that happened.
Did you notice in the very beginning of the episode, you probably don't remember this now, but I literally just watched them a few hours ago. Rewatched them. In the beginning of it, there was like a little like news reel going in the background about how some museum or art gallery was being closed. And the guy who kidnapped the girl was an artist. That was
Oh.
his. I didn't know if that would kind of tied in, but and then at the end credits they're like kind of roll through, and it was the prime minister and his wife doing some event, and then they get home and she goes upstairs, and like they play all lovey-dovey when they're at this event, and then
Right.
when they get home she goes upstairs and he's like, please, 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 and she goes upstairs and he goes into his own separate room, and they kind of separate. So clearly destroyed whatever relationship they had. As what do you do in that scenario though?
You do exactly the opposite that he did. Like that whole show, I feel like was about watching his inner turmoil and the fact that he was making all the wrong choices every single time. If he
But
just would have fucked the pig, then people would have felt bad for him and his wife would be happy. But he had to lie to the wife, not answer the phone call, and then try to come up with all these crazy ways to get around it. Just do the deed.
well, he didn't know about the fake out. Remember, because when he found out that it was the older woman, the advisor, like when he found out that she went and did that, and he didn't know about it, he like grabbed her by the throat and like almost punched her. So that wasn't his decision. That was
Yeah, but he wasn't answering his wife's phone
That's
calls.
true.
That's a very poor choice.
well. I mean, what are you gonna say? I'll be right back.
Hey, honey.
Throw
I'm
out all
gonna
the
screw a
bacon.
pig. Be home at 8.
No more bacon on my BLTs.
I'm saving the princess.
Yeah.
She's in another castle.
Oy. Yeah. So and again, that was the first thing I saw of this show, and I was like, okay, that's
That was
If
a
I had to
really strange
describe-
introduction.
Yeah, I think it's the worst episode in the series, even though it's still a good episode, but it's definitely shouldn't have been the first, in my opinion.
yeah. You don't think so? Yeah. I guess I kind of agree with that. It's not one of my favorite episodes.
Which, do you guys have a favorite? Not of these three, of the whole series. Do you have a favorite?
I do. Yeah. We haven't gotten to it yet, though.
Which one is it?
I don't want to say yet.
You don't want to just give the title or
You-
anything?
I don't remember the title.
San Marcos was my favorite.
Which one was that?
Or San...
San Guana Perio. It's some J name. I know which one you're talking about. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
What is it?
That was the retirement virtual reality thing where they like plug in and go to this vacation island.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That was my favorite.
That was a good one.
But I also feel like that was the only one that had a happy ending.
That's true. No, I was tossed up for two for me. Which one's my
But-
favorite?
Was it really a happy ending?
Yes. Yes, it was.
But what about their other families? They're gonna be very sad now.
We're getting way off into the weeds here.
Yeah. Well,
We'll get to that episode, I promise.
yeah.
Okay, so second episode of the first season, called 15 Million Merits. And this is just a sad, dystopian look into where we're headed, I feel.
Right.
It's, a very real lesson in consumerism,
Mm-hmm.
in entertainment. What else? I mean, it just made me feel gross.
Yeah.
And short synopsis of this is it's in some kind of future where you're either an entertainer or I guess there's other things that they kind of allude to other jobs. Basically, we follow the life of this guy who's basically on a standstill bike
Mm-hmm.
pedaling for, I'm assuming, energy.
Right. That his job is to ride an exercise bike.
along with hundreds, if not thousands, of other people pedaling on these stationary bikes, accruing points, accruing merits, which is basically currency,
Yep.
which is used for everything to squirts of toothpaste, soap in the bathroom, vending machine that spits out food,
Right.
muting or skipping ads that show up on your video screens, which is the entire
Well,
wall of
right,
your
yeah.
room.
Let's not just call them video screens. It's every surface
Right.
in your existence is some form of
Is
like
either a show
content
or an
delivery.
ad. And if you look away or close your eyes, it stops and says view obstructed.
Right.
And then like these ear piercing tones keep going higher and higher and higher. So you're forced to look. So you're either doing that or you're either all these people in the yellow jumpsuits are obese or overweight and they're doing like janitorial work, or they're on the shows that are just basically exploiting them because of their weight. And then it kind of centers around this show, which is basically
the talent
like
show,
American Idol or The Voice or whatever, what have you.
Britain's Got Talent.
And you accrue so many points to buy a ticket to go on to this talent show to perchance get picked to go into a different,
become an entertainer.
But it can go one of two ways.
They don't show that right away.
Right. It's the first time they show it, it's, this woman gets plucked out of obscurity, she wins, and she becomes this super famous singer.
Right.
And she's living like luxury. And all the while, like cut through the episode, there's these clips for this, basically a porn site.
Yeah.
And you whatever, you skip it or you watch it or whatever.
He was like super embarrassed anytime it came on, so he's like, brushing him past.
The best part of that episode was the one night where it did pop up, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll watch it." And then cut to where he meets the love interest of the episode, and then it comes up in the bathroom, co-ed bathrooms, by the way, which is kind of weird in the future, but I guess not, because that's kind of where we're headed now. It's very topical,
right?
Anyways, he's sitting there chatting up this new love interest of his, and then all of a sudden it pops up. He's like, "What does it say? What is it? What is it? What was the phrase that it used? It was so funny. Like, welcome back." You know,
making it clear that
he is a user of this thing, and they just kind of look at each other, and he just like stares at the ceiling until she walks away. I thought that was brilliant. But yeah, so he meets this woman. They, strike up a conversation, and it's like 15 million merits to get on this talent show. And he hears her sing in the bathroom. That's why, He's like, "Hey, you're a really good singer, and maybe you should go on the show." And she's like, "Oh, I don't have the merits." And he just gives them to her like an idiot. And she goes on the show, and she sings, and it's like the judges are one of the judges is clearly from the adult entertainment site.
Right.
The woman, I don't really know where she's from. The guy is clearly the voice talent guy. So they tell her she's not a very good singer, but hey, you could be in porn if you want to. And they give you, before she goes on stage, they give you this juice box, which is basically it's literally called compliance.
Right.
And she drinks it and has a little weird, like, drugged up moment, and goes on stage and seems very confused about what all is happening, and basically and says yes to going into the porn business, I guess. And that's where it kind of gets weird.
Right. The guy never sees her again, ends up going back to work, but now he doesn't have enough credits to skip past ads, and so he has to watch this porn ad of this love of his life.
Right.
Doing deeds with other people, and
kind of drives him nuts.
And then you could tell he just snaps and just starts pedaling and pedaling and saving and pedaling and pedaling, and ends up earning enough to go on the show again.
Right.
Gets on there. And then what? Just like
he goes on there, and the guy's is a dancer, like he's gonna dance.
Yeah, that's right.
Or it's a performance or whatever. And then he like busts out this piece of glass that he has hidden in his waistband, and like spews This is what really hooked me on the show, was his like the diatribe that he like went on, because it was really powerful and really, like, his emotion really came through to me for some reason. As weird as that sounds, it was really raw, and it just kind of saying fuck you to everybody, and it was really, really good. And I don't know if you noticed, but that's the actor from Get Out. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know that
right away.
I didn't realize that until I watched it the second time. Because the first time I watched it was when it first came out. And and basically it gets turned around on him, and they offer him a show, and he's like, yeah, okay, cool. But
Where
he's
he like
still,
rants. The show is him ranting.
yeah, the show is him doing what he did, just, kind of saying fuck you to all the consumerist bullshit, and nothing's real, and all the while basically a vlog, a
Yeah.
video cast, and he's still holding the piece of knife or the glass to his throat, and see you next week, bye bye.
Right.
And yeah, that episode is really what got me hooked on this series.
It was the third one for me.
The third one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I kind of want the device they have. So the third episode, the entire history of you is what it's called. Basically, people get these implants that allows you to recall your memories on screen if you
Or in
want,
your eyes.
or just like you can see it again,
Right.
relive it, not change anything. You can just rewatch it. I would get that in a heartbeat. I would get that implanted in me.
I think
Day
the purpose
one.
of this episode is to show you, like, hey, look at this awesome new technology. And then as the viewer, at least this was the adventure I went on. As the viewer, I was like, hey, that'd be awesome. And then as I'm watching the show, I'm like, oh no, that would suck. Yeah, maybe I don't want this.
I mean, the scenario that plays out for this guy, yeah, that sucked. It's basically
That's how it would happen. Do you
Sure.
think it's gonna make you win more fights? No.
No,
It's just gonna make you be an asshole.
I want to relive my greatest hits. Is what
Well,
like
Okay, there is that.
not necessarily just the sexual ones, but like cool shit that I did, or
Yeah.
vacations from when I was a kid, or
I think about.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go on, Mike.
I was gonna say, but would that actually make you a better person, or would that just make you more depressed when you keep reliving that same moment over again, realizing that you can never actually have it back?
I don't know. For me, I think that would. I mean, we do that now. You lay, or you sit there, you're laying in bed and you can't sleep, and you think about something cool you did back in the day. It doesn't make me depressed.
Yeah, but you're not having a full body experience where like you're
Sure.
seeing it in front of you
Right.
again.
Yeah. I guess.
know.
I don't know. I kind of look at it differently. Like home movies. Like if you watch home movies from when you were younger, that doesn't make me depressed.
No, I think about like all of those times that I've been trying to recall how a conversation went, or uh, something that was said or done. And it's always like in the arguments where you're asked to produce specific examples,
Right.
but you didn't take notes, and so you don't have the specific examples. But knowing very well that if you had actually taken notes and actually had specific examples to provide,
You'd lose.
that would not work well in
Yeah.
your favor.
Well, that's the thing. I think I come at it at a different sphere of you guys because I can't remember shit.
Yeah,
So
that would be really cool for as like
Right.
as a way to assist.
I can't remember. I have the worst memory, whether it just be from my own brain or, chemo brain or whatever. But I don't know. I can see how that as a tool would be abused, just like anything.
Right.
Because in this story, the guy walks in, old group of friends, his wife, talking to this guy, and they go down this rabbit hole where he slowly discovers that she was in a relationship with this guy for longer than she initially let on, and then finds out that she had slept with him recently. And the whole way they go through that weird, tunnel of discovery was really, really cool. I thought the episode was really well done. But yeah, I don't know. This is something that used correctly could be a real asset to some,
Mhm.
and a really cool way to relive fun moments from your past, but I can see how it could be turned against you in this instance.
It would be neat to be able to take memories from your head and beam it right to a TV screen.
Right.
That part would be cool.
Yeah.
Other people having access to those memories, maybe not so
Yeah.
much.
And there was a character in the show that they called it getting spliced.
Yeah.
Is that what they called it?
Yeah.
One woman got basically hijacked. It's a little implant that's like behind your ear,
Right.
and she got mugged, and basically someone tore it out of her. And the way they made it sound is there are people out in this world that take it and they sell it to perverts,
Right.
apparently, who can just kind of go through and watch your whole, all your memories, for good or for ill. But no, I thought that was probably in my top 5 episodes.
Yeah, that one was one of my favorites. But again, it was one of those, like, this is really cool new technology. This really isn't that far off. It's like a couple steps beyond what we have now.
Right, because you can look back through your Facebook feed
or
and
look
kinda-
through like your photo backup, your cloud
Mhm.
photo backup, but those are photos that you specifically took.
Right.
And in this case, that's all just recording all the time, and you decide whether that's a memory you want to hold on to.
Right.
And be able to play back. But yeah, it's very easy to see that with the kind of direction that we're going now, if it keeps in that direction at that pace,
Right.
it's going to get far more dangerous really fast.
Yeah. But
And probably do more harm than good.
right.
What do you think of that one, Mike?
That episode?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it's definitely up there, and one of my favorites of the entire series, because I mean, I think it just shows how that technology would not necessarily be the best idea. But the first episode of the second season is like my second favorite episode ever. So I'm excited to talk about that
the
next
Avatar
week.
one?
It was like the assistant lady.
The assistant lady?
I'm pretty sure that's what that was, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
No, I'm wrong. I just looked up the episode.
Oh, okay. I thought
It's
like,
not the
oh
one I'm thinking
no,
of.
I'm not recording.
No.
One of them
But
was
that is a good episode.
One of them was the one where the girl's husband dies.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
They bring him back.
That's the first one.
That was the first one. The second one was the girl that took the video of the kid getting raped or killed or something, and her punishment was to constantly relive being the victim in that scenario where she's being chased down and everybody is just sitting there holding their phones up watching
Yeah, I
and
remember
not
that.
doing anything. That was another weird one.
Mm.
And then there was the Christmas one.
White Christmas. That's my second favorite episode. That's
Is that the
I'm
one
thinking
where
of,
they're
that I thought-
in the?
Where the guy got blocked and his daughter got blocked.
What's the one where him and John Hamm are in the cabin together?
That's it.
That's it. Okay,
That's White
I think
Christmas.
that might be my favorite episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways. All right. Well, I guess that's kind of all we got for this week. Thanks for listening. If you're out there, if you are out there, please, for the love of God,
Let us know.
let us know and give us a topic to talk about, because we're struggling without Walking Dead. We're struggling to come up with stuff to talk about. We're gonna try to keep doing this a Black Mirror sing along. So if you wanna watch along with us, our next episode we'll talk about the next season. I believe it's 4 episodes.
Yep.
How many episodes in the next
4
season?
episodes.
4. So we're gonna do that. We may be back next week. I'm not sure what my schedule is going to be here coming up. So we may be doing them every other week. We'll try to do them as much as possible, but that all depends on if we have stuff to talk about. So if you want to help out with that, give us a topic, ask us questions. Seriously, anything you can think of, we are open and willing to talk about it. So that has been episode 14, and I'm that one, Heath.
I'm Courtney Mills.
Mike,
Have a good one, and we'll see you later.